This is the AMDM, your quick morning podcast full of Memphis news. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Today is Wednesday, July 8th. When you're complaining about the heat this summer, just be glad you're not inside the Shelby County Jail. The air conditioning at 201 Poplar has been out since June 7th. Jail staff wrote a collective letter to Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris and the Shelby County Commission detailing inhumane and cruel conditions for both inmates and workers. The letter said temperatures inside regularly exceed 100 degrees, leading to medical issues and an atrocious odor. The commission authorized repairs last month, but the installation is still pending. Show me the video. Those were the words of National Guard shooting victim Tyron Johnson's grandfather. Johnson, age 20, was fatally shot by Guard members early Saturday morning following a police pursuit. The Guard and members of the Memphis Police Department were responding to a shots fired call when they said Johnson turned toward them with a gun. Evaniel Johnson, Tyron Johnson's grandfather, said his grandson had traveled to Memphis from Nashville for the July 4th holiday. He and several Democratic lawmakers are calling on law enforcement to release video footage from the shooting. Professional hockey is returning to the Mid-South nearly 9 years after the Mississippi River Kings vacated the Landers Center in South Haven. The Mid-South Monarchs will open their inaugural season later this year. The Mid-South Monarchs, an expansion squad of the Federal Prospects Hockey League, will take to the ice in October with no official schedule released yet. First-time head coach and recent retiree Mac Jansen will be at the helm. And now it's time for a look at one of the week's biggest stories with Mary Casciola. But stay with us after that for more of the day's news.
For 17 years, some of the world's most historical images have found their way to Memphis, where a local business brings the slides to a warehouse near Memphis International Airport and digitizes them. The company, Historic Images, has digitized more than 12 million pictures, including images of Tom Lee, yes, Memphis's Tom Lee, Jimi Hendrix, Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and Bruce Springsteen. I'm Mary Casciola. Today, Noah McLean is here to tell us more about Historic Images and how the business works. Noah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so tell us about Historic Images. How does the business work?
So basically, the Galbraith family, they run the show. To dad, 3 of his kids. They will research these collections and then travel all over the world to get them. Their travels have brought them to places like in the middle of a desert, deep underground, under a parking garage, and even old newsrooms that just need to free up some space.
Let me ask you really quickly. So you said that they research these collections. Like, how do they know that the collections exist?
Yeah, so they'll get tips. They also have people that work with them. One of them, she's like a student at UM studying, I might get this wrong, but I believe sociology. And so she's very into like archives and looking that up. And so they'll make connections with schools, newspapers, old tabloids, old dailies, stuff like that.
They go all around the world. They look at the collections, and then what happens?
So once they find a collection and they're like, okay, we want this, they will make contact with whoever owns the collection, work out a deal to go and get the collection, bring it back to Memphis, where it'll sit in a warehouse until it is time for it to get scanned and uploaded. I
guess my question is, how are they making any money? I know in your story you said that they had like 30 staffers. Like that's a pretty big business. But like, let's say that I had a collection of historical images of I don't know what, but like, wouldn't I want to sell them?
Maybe. So yeah, the staffing is huge. I was blown away by how many people were in there just doing all the work, and that they all have these really specialized jobs, which is cool. Like someone operates the machine, someone just sorts photo slides, someone is actually taking the photos of them or the scans. So people who own the collections, they can still make money off of it. A lot of them, they'll retain the IP to it. But as for the business itself, it makes money by selling the physical photos. Once they are scanned, they'll sell them on like eBay, Amazon for about $20 a pop. And so
nice. They do work with people who own the collections, like say a newspaper has a lot of historical images, but essentially they retain the rights to the photos. They still have their intellectual property, so they could also make money off of their, like I know here at the Daily Memphian, sometimes people like to buy our photos, and shameless plug, we allow them to do so. Like we will sell our photos. So if you see a photo of you and your kid on our site and you want a copy of that, like you can get a copy. But I guess, so that's my question, is sort of like, this company is making, like, we haven't sold our rights, like we just make the money.
Yes. So yeah, they will work out agreements with the companies. So like, for example, Hearst newspapers, they were shopping around looking for someone to digitize their collection because it was just taking up so much space. They have like more than 60 newsrooms across the country. And like we do, we like to keep our photos that we take.
Right. And ours are all somewhere digital. Like we have a digital storage. But yes, that's a good reminder that what we're talking about are basically like rolls of negatives that are in slides in like little plastic sheets, whatever those things are called. I don't know. Have you ever developed film?
Not on my own, but I'm very familiar with the process.
Like I have, like you're in the dark room. Like, so what we're talking about are the actual like negatives of the image, right? And that's what they're scanning. That's what they're like digitizing.
Mm-hmm. And some of them, they're not always negative. Some of them are actually like the fully
great. Okay.
chemicalized, I don't know.
Yeah.
In color photo. And so they'll put them in these little sleeves. They're like little things that you would keep like Pokemon cards or baseball cards in. So that they can scan them individually.
Okay, so this Historic Images, that's the company, but it's a family business. It's owned by Chris Galbraith and his children. How did they get into this business of digitizing historic photos?
He told me, he was like, was never the best student, but he's always had this interest in physical history.
Yeah.
One example he gave me is when he lost a relative in like early 2000s. He was like, I don't want anything in the will. I don't want like money or anything. Just give me all of the photos because those are memories.
Right.
That kind of started it. And then when they launched the company, I mean, it was just, he was able to go and find all of these historical photos from a bunch of other families throughout the world.
Right. Like this seems like very niche, like this business. So I guess like one of the things that you sort of talked about was like the urgency, and maybe like Hearst is a good example, right? Like Hearst newspapers, they have however many years of however many newsrooms worth of like actual physical photos. Like that's space that they have to get rid of, right? At some point. But what is the urgency with this business? Because it feels like there is something of an urgency to it.
There absolutely is. So film, as we know it, doesn't last forever. Even when it's developed and everything, after about 100 years or so, it will just disintegrate.
Right, it will decay.
And so there is this little bit of urgency because it was the primary means for putting history on paper for a century.
Sure.
And so if we don't have all of that digitized, then once it's gone, it's gone forever.
You have mentioned sort of about this idea that the Galbraiths sort of want to help their community. This is not their only business.
No,
right?
Not at all. So they own Muddy's, Bell Tower, and Carter Galbraith. He explained it to me really well, saying that they just, everything they do, they want it to be able to come back to the community and reflect well on the community and uplift the people around them.
Yeah. And 30 jobs just in one business is, it's not 1,000 jobs, but it's still sizable.
Significant.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you for introducing us to this business.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
For more history in the making, stay tuned.
A Pennsylvania-based behavioral healthcare organization is working to build homes for transitional living using intermodal containers. Andy Ashby says Project Transition plans to fabricate and install 9 container homes in Memphis at 2554 Hernando Road, with 9 more planned in a second phase.
Each container home will be 322 square feet and have 1 bathroom, a kitchenette, and a bedroom. The homes will also be insulated and have HVAC. Project Transition hopes to have the project, which will cost several $1 million, completed in a year. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Andy Ashby.
Forever Young Veterans will dissolve by the end of the year. Abigail Warren says Diane Height, founder of the Collierville-based nonprofit, feels the effort has served its purpose.
Height founded Forever Young Veterans in 2006 as a way to honor her father who served in World War II but died before the organization started. His post-war struggles were likely related to post-traumatic stress disorder, but little was known about the condition then. Forever Young granted wishes to veterans 65 and older who served during World War II, Vietnam, or the Korean War. Although the organization is dissolving, the vets will continue to gather for monthly meetings at Germantown Baptist Church. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Abigail Warren.
The Camilla Foundation is converting a former Denny's in Hickory Hill into a full-service medical clinic. Andy Ashby says the foundation also has plans to open more locations in underserved communities in the next few years.
The Camellia Foundation operates several locations under the umbrella of Medicos Medical Center, known colloquially as Medicos, which is Spanish for doctors. This location will operate as Medicos Medical Center, similar to their clinic in North Memphis. The more than 6,000 square foot building with a 500 square foot patio sits on 1.3 acres. The foundation hopes to be open by early December. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Andy Ashby.
That's the AMDM for this Wednesday, July 8th. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Find links to all of the stories mentioned in this episode in the podcast description. Listen and subscribe to this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or on the Daily Memphian's website. You can also hear us on WYXR 91.7, where our local news stories air every weekday throughout the day. And sign up for our breaking news alerts and our many weekly newsletters we offer, like the early word that you heard at the top of this podcast, by visiting dailymemphian.com/email. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to start your day here again tomorrow.